That's bugs the shit out of me the most about eye pokes. When someone gets jabbed in the eye and you see them scream out and cover their eyes and turn their back, they don't even try to defend themselves sometimes.
The Anthony Johnson one was one of the worst.
Oh, yeah, with Kevin Burns?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a gang of them now, man. And I just don't know why they don't go to the Pride gloves. I mean, it just seems at this point in time like a no-brainer. It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. They continue to have these gloves that not only is it hard to keep your hand curled, but it's trying to open your hands. Like the UFC gloves are trying to open your hands.
Yeah.
Like to keep your hands closed, you have to force them down. Whereas the Pride gloves, it was hard to open them. The Pride gloves are keeping your hands like that. So as you're throwing punches, I just think also too, guys they have to get away from doing this open palm thing to the face to push guys off. And I think when guys do that, they should be penalized a point.
But how do you stop them from doing that? That's such an instinct.
It is an instinct, but I think some guys don't do it ever. There's a lot of fighters who never guilty of eye pokes. So why is that? I mean, it's not like it's impossible to avoid. I think they just have to make it so that if you poke somebody in the eye, it's an instantaneous 1-point deduction. And people say, well, that's too harsh. They didn't mean to do it. Maybe they didn't mean to do it, but it still was done. So the opponent still suffered damage. When you poke somebody in the eye, how many times have you seen like a Matt Mitrione, Travis Brown fight?
Oh, my God.
Where a guy gets poked in the eye and all of a sudden the whole fight changes. And then one guy's in trouble, and he's not in trouble from illegal technique. He's in trouble from getting poked, and then the dynamic of the fight changes. He can't see so good, and then he winds up getting fucked up.
See, they should just stop, walk the other guy over, get a good look, and then poke him. You're like, all right, now we both get 5 minutes, so we'll see how this goes.
That would be crazy. Imagine if guys were allowed to poke you.
So good.
Like if you poke somebody in the eye, they're allowed to come over and they get a free poke.
Love it.
Oh,
wasn't that one of the first rules that was like it was just like no
eye
it was just no eye gouging. That was like it.
Yeah.
No fish hooking or something.
No fish hooking, no eye gouging. You were allowed to grab hair. You were allowed to punch nuts.
Keith Hackney.
But some guys just have done it so many times. Joe San, yeah.
Oh man,
how crazy is that Joe San story? That's one of the craziest stories in all of MMA. Joe San, who seemed like this lovable guy who was really into Jesus and seemed kind of crazy. He used to come to the Comedy Store and hang out. I hung out with Joe San a bunch of times because he was friends with Bobby Lee. So he'd come down to the Comedy Store. He was jacked. He was 3 feet tall and 2 feet wide. He was jacked, and he was just real weird. He felt like almost dangerous around him. Like, this guy just seemed so odd. And then he got arrested for something. And they do some random DNA test on him and find out he was a part of a gang rape. And now he's in jail for life. He's in jail, and while he's in jail, he killed his cellie. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he killed his cellmate. I'm pretty sure. See if that's the case. Joe San kills cellmate. I'm pretty sure he did. But yeah, he's in jail for life now. That's a wrap. But it just, what the fuck, man? Out of nowhere. I forget what they arrested him for too, but it wasn't anything like that. Yeah, possible murderer. Yeah, he's a crazy dude, man.
For sure, rapist, but possible murder.
For sure, rapist. Remember when he walked into the cage with a fucking cross strapped to his back? Him and Chemo, both those guys.
Yeah.
Fucking weirdos.
They were so ate up with Jesus, they had to walk to the cage with a cross strapped to their back. Even Jesus himself would be like, guys, that was a long time ago. We don't need to do this anymore. Like,
because his cellmate was a convicted child molester. So.
And did he kill him?
Yeah.
Because of that?
He was standing over the body of him, so.
He was found standing at the door of his cell. The body of his cellmate, 50-year-old convicted child molester Michael Graham, was lying unresponsive in the bottom bunk. He's pronounced dead. Well, I give him a pass on that. Give him a pass on child molester. He said he killed Graham with a combination of kicks and punches. San pleaded not guilty. Wow.
When you said son, I thought that because you say that a lot.
Oh, son?
Kill him with a combination of kicks
Joe's
and punches, son.
All right, here we go.
Should be a pretty good one.
I thought that was from wearing the Y crew on his head one time I saw him fight, but I guess that's a real mark on his head.
Oh, okay.
You guys, have you ever fought in Denver, Eve?
Yeah.
High altitude?
I fought, Nate and I fought in Denver. I fought Nate. Nate was 163 pounds.
Jesus.
I was like 162.
Nate used to be 163. That's crazy.
He was like 19 though.
Wow. He's back to 185 now, right?
Yeah. He just
He just won by knockout.
Yeah.
Amazing. He'd be knocked out Tamden Marquardt with a head kick. That dude has been around a long fucking time.
Nate and I fought in 99.
Wow. That's amazing. Nate Marquardt. You know, Brendan Schaub said he's never seen Nate lose a single round in the gym. And one of the things he said about Nate is that Nate is probably one of those guys that left too much in the gym. Just had way too many gym wars with Shane Carwin. He used to spar with Shane fucking Carwin, which is like, what?
I didn't realize how big he was till I saw that Ellis Mania thing.
Oh, he's so
weekend.
big.
Holy shit, he's
so
fucking
big.
huge.
Well, he
knocks him out
size,
like this, like retard,
clubbing.
like dirt. Like,
well, he had
out,
one arm
flat.
tied to his body, which is even more insane.
Oh,
they
what a
duct tape
spectacle.
an arm
It's
to his
awesome.
body.
And
Yes.
there's two people they had to make gloves for in the UFC. It was him and Brock, right?
Yeah,
Like,
his hands are bigger than Brock's.
That's ridiculous.
he is
Yeah.
huge.
I remember I was at where the fuck was I? Oh, I was I was at a Mall Easton's jiu-jitsu school in Boulder, and I was on the mat, and we were training, we were doing drills, and out of the corner of my eye, I see what looks like the Thing from the comic book movie, Fantastic Four. It looks like the Thing. Like if the Thing was a real person walking in, and I look up, what the fuck is that? And it's Carwin in between fights. You know, he would get to like 300 plus pounds. And, you know, because he was a giant. I mean, he was giant. And I saw him walking. I just remember going, what in the fuck?
Like, I can't imagine what Nate does with that guy.
Well,
the
I
brick
mean,
thing, I just realized what. I'm
yeah,
like,
the thing,
what is
the thing that was made out of,
He's
it was
all
made out
like
of rocks.
concrete,
Yeah. I mean, that was the size of him. He was so fucking big. Like Carwin has that weird power too, where he can knock dudes out with like 6-inch punches.
Right.
Like he knocked out Gonzaga. Gonzaga had him hurt, and then he, as he's wobbling backwards, he uncorks a 6-inch punch that puts Gonzaga in the dark lands.
Stuff like that is so weird because think about the fight with him and Brock in Canada, in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And he beat the snot out of Brock for
Yep.
that first round.
He just didn't conserve himself enough.
Yeah, and he gassed, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Gassed hard, trying to put him away.
Yeah, first round.
And Brock isn't a guy that can take a lot of, like, a punishment like that.
Right.
You don't think Brock's that guy, but he survived it and just turned it back on.
Well, somehow or another, he survived it. But I feel like to this day that if Carwin just stayed calm and just kept that fight standing and striking, Brock was fucked.
Yeah.
Because he was a commensurate wrestler. I mean, he might not have been as good a wrestler in wrestling as Brock is, but in MMA, he's right the fuck up there. Like,
Yeah.
good luck taking him down, especially when you got to get close enough for him to tag you. I feel like to this day that if he just stayed calm and just boxed the fuck out of Brock, he would be the UFC heavyweight champion.
for sure.
But he just tried to just end it real quick, which makes sense.
Because when you see Brock run away from some of the shots that he ran away from before that, and Shane hits like he hits,
Yeah,
you think he
exactly.
can just close the show.